I'm sure the title of this video must have intrigued you just a bit. Yes, I've lost weight. I've lost, so far, 13 pounds. And it's been easy. It really has been fairly easy to do, with no gimmicks, no fast diets, it's just been pretty easy. And the motivation came from something that has happened to me health-wise. So if you're interested, stay tuned. And by the way, many of you have notified me wondering where I was, if I was okay. I've taken a little break. You know, if you've been around my channel for a while, you know that from time to time, I just need to take a little break. And I have pretty much taken a complete break from social media. I mean, I have been on social media very little over the past few weeks. I come on and I watch a few YouTube videos. I'll check Facebook, maybe Instagram, my emails, and that's pretty much it. And in addition, we took a trip. But we got to go see our kids and grandkids, and that's always good in my book. But let's talk about this weight thing, because I know so many of you are interested, and this is such a struggle for so many of us as we age in particular. And again, I think for me personally, and so many of you can relate to this, we want a quick fix. We want to lose 10 pounds. We want to lose 15 pounds. And we want it to be in a week. We want it to be in a month. And for me, I found anytime I am successful at doing that, I gain it right back. It's not a lifestyle change. I gain it right back. But, and I have notes, and I had just pretty much given up on it these past few years, especially with the pandemic. I haven't walked the way I used to walk. I have given myself a lot of liberties with my eating that I would have never done before. I've become a complete and total sugarholic and saltholic. It's like, just give it to me and I don't care. I've always considered myself very healthy. I take no medication for anything. I've been such a strict vegetarian for so many years, and that's always been another part of my reasoning when it comes to eating the junk food is I would say to myself, well, you know, Patty, you're not eating meat, so you can eat sugar, you can eat the candy bars, you can eat the donuts, you can eat the pies and the ice cream every night and the cakes and the potato chips. And I just would always justify that because I considered myself healthy, because I did not take any medication for anything. As some of you know, after we moved over to Pensacola from Panama City Beach, I really had a challenge finding just a primary care physician. I could not find one. I called, it got to the point that I was Googling, and it was like every person I called, every primary care, their office would say that they are no longer taking new patients. Occasionally, I would find someone who said they had a nurse practitioner who could see me, but it might be 3 months or 4 months before I could get in. And finally, last spring, I decided okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a nurse practitioner who can see me even if I have to wait. Because again, I'm healthy. I'm not taking any medication for anything. I was able to get an appointment with her for early June. Got the appointment, we talked about, you know, all my history, all those things, filled out all the forms. She asked me to go have blood work, which I expected, just the normal blood work. It came back, and would you believe, it came back that, number one, my blood pressure was high. Number two, my cholesterol was high. Now, they weren't off the chart. It wasn't, oh, you're going to die tomorrow, Patty, if you don't do something. It wasn't that, but they were elevated. She gave me a little printout, just a couple of pages about, and it is a fat and cholesterol restricted eating plan. And it was just some basic things to cut out. She knew I was a walker already, although the weather was so hot. I mean, it was just miserably hot, or it was raining every single day. So I had backed off of my walking. So she said, you know, why don't you start walking again, get back into it, figure it out, and then just sort of follow this little eating plan, which I looked at and I thought, well, I can do, yeah, okay. I guess I was so shocked that day that, I mean, guys, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and it was my LDL and my triglycerides. And I mean, needless to say, I've said this before, I weigh more, or I weighed more than I had ever weighed in my life. As I was leaving, she said, you know, there's something else you may be interested in. And I said, okay. And she said, there is a cardiologist here who does a lipid clinic 1 day a week. It's every Wednesday. And that's all he does on Wednesdays. He sees patients who are really serious about wanting to do something about their cholesterol. And I had already told her when she told me that, I said, I am not taking a statin. Do not even mention it. I've heard horrible things about statins. I will do this with diet and exercise if there's any way I can. And she said, okay, you know. But anyway, she said, this is strictly, it's just if you want to do it, but you'll go spend an hour with him and he'll talk with you and learn all about you and your situation, your lifestyle, and then you'll meet with the nutritionist that he has on staff. And I thought, I can do that. And I told her, I said, yeah, I'll do that. And that's where it started. I came home and called to make the appointment. Now, this is early June, because he only does this clinic on Wednesdays, and he is so in demand. The first appointment I could get was the middle of July. So I had my little eating plan, and I start following it. You know, she knew that I was a very strict vegetarian, so I was adapting my being a vegetarian, to the little eating plan. But on July 1st, I decided that I was going to give up sugar. And I don't mean all sugar, but I mean sugar in the form of added sugar to things I was eating, but also pies and cakes and Snicker bars and any candy and ice cream and pastries and all that stuff. I was just going to give it up. And I was also going to give up potato chips and the salty stuff that we all love, the Cheetos and the Fritos, give it up. And I did, and I had no problem. I promised myself that I would only do it for that day. Every day I would get up and I would tell myself, okay, I'm not going to have it today. I know I can make it through today, but tomorrow if I want a candy bar, I'll have a candy bar. Tomorrow, if I want some Lay's potato chips, I'll have some Lay's potato chips. But today, I'm going to try to stick to this. And I'm not going to say that I didn't have some times that, you know, in the very beginning that I had to press through to make it, but I did, because I knew tomorrow or next week or next month or next year, if I wanted something, I would have it. So I did okay with it. I will say that about 2 weeks into it, Jim, we were driving down the street one day and there was a McDonald's, and I said, Jim, pull into that McDonald's. And he said, I mean, he's never heard that out of me, trust me. And he said, what do you want? And I said, I want an Oreo McFlurry. And he said, are you sure? And I said, I'm sure. He pulled in, went through the drive-thru, got me an Oreo McFlurry, got him one too. And it was wonderful. That was it. The next day, I was fine. The day of my appointment in July came that morning, and I had a phone call, and it was his office telling me that they were going to have to reschedule my appointment, that I think somebody, that they had been exposed to COVID or something, and they were canceling all the appointments that day for sure. And they had to reschedule me. And because they had already scheduled ahead, they could not get me in until September. And I said, okay. I mean, there was nothing I could do about it. Okay. I picked up my walking. I was not being 100% with this eating. I was really good with the sugar, really good with not eating the potato chips. But what I did do is I started researching. I started Googling about cholesterol and about LDL and HDL and how they all work. And what I learned is that there are a lot of opinions about this. They all sound convincing. I even went so far as to order a book, but there were a lot of things that made an awful lot of sense to me as far as the way to eat, and the foods that are high in fiber like oatmeal and walnuts and almonds and apples. And so I just really sort of did my own little thing. But as I said, I started walking too, got to my appointment in September with the cardiologist for the lipid clinic. Here's what I took with me, plus my book. And when I walked in that door, it was like when he walked in, it was like he looked at this and said, He introduced himself and we talked, and he said, he said, looks like you might be ready for me. And I said, I am. And I have a lot of questions. And he said, good. And I said, right off the bat, I want to tell you that I will do whatever I have to do not to take a statin. And he said, why? And I told him some of the things that I had read about statins and heard about statins. And he said, well, I tell you what. He said, my purpose is to do everything I can do to help you not to have to take a statin. He said, but we need to learn more about you, too, and your family. He learned that I was a vegetarian, and I told him what I'd been doing. And listen, I had a list of questions. But I told him what I had been doing on my own and my walking, and he was very pleased with that, seemed to be very impressed with that. He examined me. I told him, and many of you know, I'm 79. My mother died of cardiovascular disease at 82. She had already had 2 bypasses. She had a stent. For as long as I can remember, my mother was on blood pressure medication because her blood pressure was so high. I've never had any of this. And all of a sudden, at 79 years old, my LDL is high, my HDL was fine, my triglycerides were a little high, but my blood pressure was high. And I had started taking my blood pressure, and it wasn't coming down. It was sort of all over the place. Not medication high, but close to it. And we talked about my mother and my sister. You've heard me talk about my sister before. She's a year and a half younger than I am. My sister has had high blood pressure, been on medication for many, many, many years. My sister has also, mainly through another exam, they realized there was something going on and started checking, and she had a little blockage, and they did a little stent with her. So it runs in my family. Obviously, I mean, you don't have to be a rocket science to figure out that if my mother and my sister have this, I probably do too. Maybe it's just now surfacing. So as I said, he examined me and he said, your heart, everything just sounds great. He said, it really does. He said, there are 2 tests, one for sure that I want us to do, and then another one is going to be completely optional for you. The first one is a different blood test than you had before. He said, what you had before is the one that they always do when you get a physical. They'll go in and check, and that's just one of the things they routinely check for, or it would be your cholesterol levels. He said, but we're going to do an advanced lipid test. And he said, we'll still draw a little blood out of your arm. It's going to tell us a lot more. We're going to look for things, a lot more things. And I said, fine. And he said, and I want to see you again in about 2 months. Before you come to see us, go have that blood test done. I said, fine. And he said, and the other thing, he said, and the only reason I'm even recommending this is because of your mom and your sister. And it's called a coronary artery calcium testing, and basically what it is, it's a CAT scan. Very, very low radiation, as he said, CAT scan, where they just scan your heart and your arteries leading out of your heart. And that shows how much calcium and plaque that you have in your heart. And he explained to me that everybody has it. It's just to what degree you have it. And he said, you have to remember that you're 79 years old. Whether there's a history or not, you're going to have some. He said, but again, this is strictly optional. He said, I'm not saying you have to have this. But to make a long story short, I had the CT scan of my heart. The number was was moderately low risk of any kind of an event in the next, I think, 5 years. When I went back after the new blood test and that CAT scan, I met with his nurse practitioner, and she had met with him that morning, and they had talked about me, and we went over all the numbers and everything, and I mean, everything was down, except my blood pressure. But my triglycerides were down a little bit. My HDL, my good cholesterol, was right about the same. My LDL was down 20 points. And that was pretty good progress. Now, I'm walking, not every day, but I'm walking more, and I'm really watching what I eat. And nothing that I'm doing as far as what I'm eating is hard or a challenge. And I think basically the way I've been eating and the way they recommend is pretty much like a Mediterranean diet, fish and vegetables, and not a lot of processed foods. For me, this is something I can do for the rest of my life. Unless something happens and I'm not able to walk or do any kind of cardio, I can eat this way. I can eat this way. Have I cheated? Yes. But I can do it. And the weight loss has been very slow. Very slow. When you think about, I first started this journey in June. But it's off. I can't see that I'm going to gain it back. I may get a pound or two fluctuating. I've always done that. What I've done so far has been strictly lifestyle. I will tell you that because of my mother and because of my sister, he did suggest, and it was a suggestion, that I go on a very low dosage of a statin. He felt like I would not see any adverse side effects from it. But it has to be my decision. I'm going to go back in January. I'll have just a regular blood test in January and then go back to meet with them, and we can talk, see where I am then. My goal, quite obviously, is to get my LDL down as much as I can. And I have a goal. I'm not going to give you my numbers because my numbers are my numbers. And the decision that I make about this, about whether or not I do the statin. Because, listen, from everything I've read and talking with them, whatever, even if I do go on a statin, I still have to maintain this lifestyle. I still have to exercise. I still have to eat right. But I don't know. I'm trying. At one point, my sister would tell you that I had become obsessive about it because I was reading and wanting to share everything I was learning, especially since she's already there. I've calmed down. I have to make this decision. No one can make it for me. And I feel that way about each of you too. There are lots of lose weight quick diets out there. Trust me, I've tried a lot of them. Some of them I couldn't do because some of them involve eating meat. I'm just not going to do that. This is a way of eating that I can do. And and listen, here I have energy. I've always had pretty good energy, but I have so much more energy. I normally will stretch out on the sofa with biscuit and take a little afternoon nap, and I haven't been doing that. It's like I just have more energy. I feel better. Several years ago, a lot of you were asking what I ate on a vegetarian diet, how I ate with me not eating meat and Jim eating meat and Jim doing all of our cooking, and I did that. And he's had to make some more adjustments because of my eating. And I've even volunteered to cook my own food. And he says, nah, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. And so he's been a great support and a great help to me. But I'll do, if you want me to, let me know in the comments. If you want me to, I'll do maybe what I eat in a day. Because it's not I don't do the same thing every day. I have figured out how to do variations of it. But as I said, I feel good. I'm ready to get back to YouTube, and you may see 2 or 3 videos real fast here in the next week because I have a lot of things I want to talk to you about and show you and let you know more about what's going on into my life. The holidays are going to be really different for us again this year, so we're having to make some hard decisions about the way we do holidays. It's going to be totally different from what we're used to. So I want to share some of that with you too, and what's led up to that. But listen, you guys, I know that you're going to be very vocal about the statin issue. It's okay for you to have your opinions, and I'm telling you, it's okay for you to state your opinions in the comments. As I always say, just be nice about it. Don't be mean. But when it comes down to it, you have to make the decision that's right for you about anything. It's also my decision for me to make for myself. And that's all I ask, is that you respect that. I probably have not given you that quick fix, lose it in 2 weeks or a month that you wanted, or maybe you were looking for, but this is real life. I had to do something that I could do for the rest of my life, however long it is. Okay, go out and be kind. Be kind to yourself so that you can be kind to others. Know that I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.